Welcome to this video on centre of mass, centre of gravity. I'll talk later about what the differences between the two are. In short, as far as A-level physics is concerned, they're the same thing. So I think you'd all agree that if we had a box which was supported by two blocks or bricks or something of that nature, then the object would stay in equilibrium. Whereas if I take one of the blocks away, then it's no longer in equilibrium and it would topple like so. I think you'd also all agree that if I was careful, I should be able to balance the object on a single beam like that. Let's explain why that's the case. We're going to use the idea of centre of gravity to explain that. So what is the centre of mass? Well, it's an imaginary point in the body, or outside the body actually. So it's an imaginary point where the total weight of the object may be thought to act from. Now, you should remember from GCSE physics that weight is caused by gravity, and it's not the same as mass. So if we're talking about this, where the weight acts from, it means it's the centre of gravity. If we talk about where the mass appears to be concentrated, then it's the centre of mass. So be careful if they ask you about if you're asked about centre of mass, talk about where the total mass of the object can be imagined to be. If they ask you about centre of gravity, then talk about where the total weight acts from, or can be imagined to act from. Now, it is possible that these two things are not in the same place. If we've got gravitational field which is not uniform, then in theory they could be in different places, but given that we are in a gravitational field that is uniform, or at least to a reasonable approximation near the surface of the Earth, then the centre of mass and the centre of gravity are the same point. So going back to our situation here, why did this one topple when this one stayed upright? So for now I'm going to tell you that the centre of mass is right in the middle there. And so we can imagine that the weight of this crate is acting from that point vertically downwards, and it's being supported by a force acting at this point here. Now, if this were in equilibrium, those two forces would be equal and opposite. However, we've still got a moment turning it clockwise because they're not in line with each other. Whereas here we've got the weight acting down from the centre of mass and the support force acting upwards, and again they're equal. I haven't drawn them equal. I suppose I ought to make them the same size, really, hadn't I? And as long as those two forces are equal, now that they are also now acting through the same point, and so this object is in equilibrium and it doesn't topple, whereas this one would, it would topple clockwise. So how do we find the centre of mass, or how do we decide where the centre of mass of an object is? So for a uniform density symmetrical object, the centre of gravity or the centre of mass will lie somewhere along the lines of symmetry. So if we know more than one line of symmetry, where they cross would be where the centre of mass is. So I've got a few example shapes to show you how we might decide where the centre of mass is. So we've got a line of symmetry here, and we've got a line of symmetry here, so the centre of mass would be at the centre. Now with a square, you've got those lines of symmetry as well, which points to the centre of mass being here. But you've also got diagonal lines of symmetry as well, which you could use if you prefer, which will give you the same point. Obviously a circle has infinite numbers of lines of symmetry, and they all cross through the centre of the circle. It also works for three-dimensional shapes as well, not just two-dimensional. So if you have a cylinder, for example, the centre of mass would be at the centre of the circle, so somewhere along that line, but also halfway along the cylinder, so it would be in the middle there. If you've got objects which have are asymmetrical in a particular direction, so for example you had a cone, then the centre of mass would definitely lie somewhere along this line of symmetry, but it's not always obvious where on that line. Now, because there's more mass towards the bottom, than there is at the top. It's going to be somewhere closer to the bottom than it is towards the top. You're not necessarily expected to be able to calculate those things, not at A level anyway. You might be given a formula to calculate it, but you wouldn't be expected to be able to do that without being given more information. However, you would be expected to be able to estimate roughly where it is, where most of the mass of the object is. Now, I mentioned earlier that it's not necessarily in the body. You can have certain shapes where the centre of gravity is where there's no material. For example, if this were a cylinder, I draw the top and the bottom of the cylinder in. If this were a cylinder, a hollow cylinder, then the centre of mass would still be in the centre like it was for the solid cylinder. Even though there's no material there, the centre of mass is still there. And also similarly, the centre of mass of this one would be somewhere here. Okay, there's a line of symmetry down here, and there's more mass here than there is here. So it's going to be closer to that point, possibly even higher than that, but somewhere in that region. What about irregular shapes where there's no lines of symmetry? Well, the way we do this practically is to punch a small hole and hang it freely, and what has to happen is the object will rotate until its centre of mass is vertically below, because if it's hanging with a support force, the centre of mass has to be vertically below so that the two forces are acting in the same line, so there's no moment. If we were supporting it here and the centre of mass is over here, then we'd get a moment and it would rotate until the two forces were directly in line with each other. So what we then do is we'd hang it from here. We'd then draw our a vertical line using the plumb bob down and straight down. Obviously it would be rotated round. I can't do that with my current setup. And then we'd hang it from somewhere else and we'd draw another vertical line, and where they crossed, that would be where the centre of mass is, and we could check it with a third point and see that it went through that same point if you wished. Okay, so the apparatus you'd use, you'd have some sort of stand, hang the shape off the end, and a plumb bob, which is basically a bit of string with a weight on the end to pull it down vertically. And as long as you did that for two different points, when they cross would be the centre of mass. So what's that got to do with moments questions? Well, previously all the questions I gave you on working out moments, the beam was supported in the centre, so we didn't need to worry about the support force or the weight of the object, because the two objects were in line with each other. The two forces were in line with each other. So if we support it at the centre, then the support force and the weight of the object are acting through the same point, and so we can ignore those in our moments calculations if we take moments about this point here. Okay, I previously didn't mention this, but it's good practice to specify in your solution where you take moments about. So I would say, right, let's label this as x, and my first line in my solution is taking moments about x. Sometimes for certain questions it might be necessary to take moments about multiple positions to work out a couple of unknowns. By taking moments about here, we eliminate the support force from our equations, and so we're only worried about this 5 newtons and the weight, which is acting somewhere from the ruler. And we don't need to incorporate this, but if we wanted to work out the support force, we might want to take moments about another position. We'll talk about that in a moment. And in the next video we'll talk about what happens when there are two supporting points, how we'd work out the values of those forces. Anyway, back to this problem. So next line would be say, okay, anti-clockwise moments are equal to clockwise moments. You can either do it in symbols. I tend to do it in symbols, but you can write it out in full if you want to. So we've got 5 newtons times 2.8 newtons, and that's equal to the weight of the ruler times the distance from the pivot. We haven't figured that out yet. Well, given we're told that it's a uniform meter ruler, we know that it's 100 centimetres from there to there, and because it's uniform, the centre of mass will be in the middle, acting down there, and so that'll be 50 centimetres from the end, and we're already 28 centimetres, so this distance here will be 12 centimetres, so 0.12 metres. So W is equal to 5 times 0.28 divided by 0.12, which gives me a weight of 11.7 newtons. Right, what we can now do is we can work out what the support force is. We can do that one of two ways. The easy way is to say that the two forces acting downwards, the weight plus the 5 newtons, has got to be equal to the support force acting upwards, because we know it's in equilibrium. Or we could say, right, let's take moments about this point, or moments about the weight, or moments about this point even, and we'll get the support force. We'll have two, if we take moments about this point here, we'll call it point A, then we'll have two forces giving an anti-clockwise moment and the support force giving a clockwise moment, and the value of the support force will plop out of there.